It arrived on a morning that felt unfinished. The sky hovered in that dull gray that never quite becomes day, and the rain tapped softly against the windows like it had nowhere better to be. The package didn't look important. No logos, no bright tape, no delivery branding shouting for attention. Just brown paper and my name written in handwriting that stirred something familiar deep in my memory, though I couldn't say why. When I picked it up, the weight surprised me. Not heavy enough to be alarming, but heavy enough to feel intentional. Inside was a VHS tape. No label. No explanation. Just silence wrapped in plastic. And in that silence, something felt patient. In the modern world, mystery VHS tapes come with a problem: nobody owns a VCR anymore. Digging through the garage felt like excavating a forgotten era. Boxes of tangled wires, outdated remotes, manuals for machines that don't exist anymore. When I finally found the VCR buried under holiday decorations, it felt like uncovering a relic. Hooking it up turned the living room into a strange time capsule. The television hummed to life, glowing blue, casting a nostalgic light that instantly transported me backward. And suddenly, pressing play felt like stepping into a doorway I couldn't close. Once opened, the tape crackled to life with a timestamp burned into the corner, May 14, 1998. A date from another lifetime. The footage showed a living room soaked in late 90s textures, patterned wallpaper, oversized furniture, the soft blur of old camcorder lenses. Then the camera tilted. And there I was. Sitting cross-legged on the carpet. Laughing. Moving. Existing. Not someone who looked like me. Not a resemblance. Me. Watching that moment unfold felt like staring into a memory that had been stolen from my own past. There are gaps in everyone's childhood. Blurry summers, forgotten birthdays, half-remembered holidays. But this wasn't a blurry memory. This was an entire day that didn't exist in my mind at all. On screen, I moved comfortably through a life I didn't remember living. Every laugh felt genuine. Every movement felt natural. And that was the worst part. Nothing about it felt staged. Nothing felt fake. Except the fact that I had never lived it. At first it was subtle. Easy to dismiss. A blink that lingered a fraction too long. A smile that arrived half a second late. The kind of tiny imperfections you might blame on old tape degradation. But once you noticed it, you couldn't stop noticing it. The face didn't always match the motion. The timing slipped. Just slightly. Enough to feel wrong. Enough to make the room feel colder. I drove to my parents' house with the tape in my bag and dread growing heavier with every mile. Watching their faces as the video played was like watching certainty collapse in real time. They didn't recognize the room. They didn't recognize the day. They didn't remember filming it. My father watched quietly until the tape stopped, then said something that settled into the room like fog: "It looks real, but it isn't ours." Uploading the footage felt reckless. Like lighting a flare in the dark. Within hours, strangers were dissecting every frame. Freeze frames. Enhancements. Slow motion analysis. People who had never met me suddenly knew my face from childhood better than I did. And slowly, carefully, a shared conclusion began to form: this tape shouldn't exist. Then the child on screen spoke. The voice was close. Terrifyingly close. But not identical to recordings my parents still kept from that time. It sounded like someone had studied my voice, mapped its rhythm, and recreated it with almost perfect accuracy. Almost. A technician studied the tape itself. The magnetic patterns told a story no one expected. The video wasn't copied from another VHS. It had been recorded from a digital source. A digital video. Placed onto analog tape. Years before that should have been possible. Frame by frame, a reflection appeared in a television screen behind the child version of me. A tall figure holding the camera. Silent. Still. Watching. Someone who had been present the entire time, yet somehow absent from the memory. Family calendars. Photo albums. Diaries. Nothing matched the events of that day. It wasn't forgotten. It was absent. As if the tape recorded a day from a life that ran parallel to mine. After the footage ended, static filled the screen. Then, for less than a second, text appeared. One word. One date. 2024, a message hidden in noise. Waiting to be discovered decades later. The tape wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. Someone wanted it to survive. Someone wanted it to be found. But only after time had caught up with the lie. Why recreate a childhood memory? Why wait decades to send it? The effort made no sense as a prank. It felt like proof. A demonstration. A message without explanation. A second package arrived. Smaller. Lighter. This time, a label. One word written carefully. Soon, every photograph suddenly felt questionable. Every memory uncertain. The idea that the past could be edited began to feel real. The child on screen wasn't me. But he moved like me. Thought like me. Laughed like me. Like a version of my life that branched off somewhere I couldn't see. The technician found a hidden signature buried in the signal. A watermark from modern AI video tools. Proof that the tape had been created recently, and deliberately aged. It wasn't footage from my past. It was footage of a past that never happened. A memory created before the technology to create it was supposed to exist. The second tape sits on my desk, untouched. Waiting. And now the silence around it feels louder than the tape ever could.